So it's Rod from VMN here again. I had a question today from a customer that said, I have noticed that on a bill that all of the items are going to cost of goods sold, and I thought these items would go to inventory if they were storable. Now, that's all very well. So it brings us into the beginnings of quite a complex conversation in Odoo. So we might just start by having a look at an official trading statement from my accountant, um, which has been prepared in terms of generally accepted accounting principles. So how the trading income works is that traditionally you start off with sale of goods, and then you take opening stock less purchases, opening stock plus purchases less closing stock equals total cost of sales. So from the cost of sales, from the sale of goods less total cost of sales, you derive your gross profit. So what she was seeing Odoo doing is that here my accountant has used the term purchases for cost of goods sold as opposed to what she's seeing as cost of goods sold, which is how it's set up as by default in Odoo. So what Odoo is doing here is not correct, but it is correct, but there's a lot more to this story. So if we go to settings, and I think if we talk to sales, no, I'll go to accounting, stock valuation. Now, the general account properties here are saying that income account is for purchases going to be sale of goods, and the expense account's cost of goods sold. Now, if you decide that you want Odoo to work on automatic valuation of your stock, then it does it a little bit differently. So at this point here, it then knows what's happening. It tracks your stock on hand, and it does that through a stock journal, an inventory valuation journal. So the other couple of accounts it's got, we'll ignore production account because that's for manufacturing operations. But if you had a look at stock input, you see that there's an account here called goods received but not billed, and another one saying goods shipped but not invoiced. So when you have automatic valuation in hand, Odoo gets a little bit more sophisticated than my accountant. So what happens is that when you raise a purchase order, it will it'll post the value to 21,210, the value of the stock, to goods received not billed, and it will sit there until such times as the goods are received, and at that point the value is taken out of goods received but not billed and moved into the stock valuation account. So and the same happens here, is that while items are sitting here shipped but not invoiced, so if you've shipped goods and you're going to invoice it later on, then it also tracks that. This is the beginning of a much more detailed conversation about setting Odoo up, because one of the other things that can be done is under settings, if you go into inventory, products, configuration, product categories, also have these things here. So you've got those default settings, And then also you can define it at a category level. And the other thing in the category level is, what's the costing method? Inventory valuation, we've said here, is automated, so it's going to do these calculations. And we're saying that we want to value our stock on average cost as opposed to first in, first out. Now, what that customer had was standard price setup. Standard price means, just exit out of that. Standard price means that the valuation of goods in your inventory will not change unless you change it. So that's a bit messy. Whereas if we do average cost, then it will take the average of all your costs that you hold, and it will calculate that based on purchases one by one. And then if you move to first in, first out, it'll value your stock at the value of your oldest purchase order. And when the stock on that oldest purchase order, just say you had a $5 per unit increase in pricing, then it will then move the actual first in, first out cost of goods in the actual product will change to be the next purchase order in line. So we'll do this in a lot more detail down the track, but this was just an introduction, seeing it came up today. You don't take this automated inventory valuation lightly. You should discuss it with your accountant, and you should be prepared to do some journal entries from time to time to keep this maintained nicely. So there you have it, guys. That's an introduction to how Odoo manages stock.